Hi, everybody, and welcome to our April webinar. Just before we get going and before I introduce today's guest, Larry Kim, just like to go through a very small amount of housekeeping here. We won't take up much time. So first of all, the most commonly asked question, yes, we are recording. As you've registered for this webinar, you'll automatically get sent a recording about an hour after the broadcast finished there. So check your emails afterwards. And this is going to be quite interactive. We welcome any questions. We're certainly going to go through as many as possible at the end. So you'll see on GoToWebinar a questions box. Just go comments if you want to let us know where you're watching from today. Just let us know where you're based there, but also any questions for Larry. And we'll try and answer as many possible as we go along and at the end. Hey, we've got some people from Canada, got some from Vancouver, where our Hootsuite office is. Great. I think we've got people from all over the world. By the way, it looks like we've got a record number of signups for this webinar, a lot of interest in messenger bots there. If you're just getting started with Facebook advertising, or if you want some other guides, if you go to adespresso.com/guides, we've got loads and loads of free guides available there. And you don't even have to submit your email address to go and get all that kind of free content there. So lots of guides on Google and on Facebook and on Instagram advertising there. And just let you know about our next webinar for May. This is going to be run by myself, and it's going to be on Facebook ads targeting, so how to use interests, lookalikes, custom audiences. You can register for that at adespresso.com/webinars. We should open registration for that very soon there. So I'm just going to set this up so that we can pass this over to Larry, and I will just pass the presentation over to Larry. I'm just going to give a quick intro for you, Larry. Larry Kim is CEO of Mobile Monkey, which is one of the leading Facebook Messenger marketing platforms. Previously, he was the CEO of WordStream, which is used by millions of marketers worldwide. Some other little facts I got from LinkedIn here. He's ranked as the 8th most popular author on Medium, and he's contributed to CNBC, Inc. magazine. I read his articles as well on Social Media Examiner and Social Media Today. So that's enough from me, and I'll hand it over to you, Larry.
Thanks, Paul, and thank you, AdEspresso friends, for joining us today, talking about how to be a messenger marketing unicorn in a sea of donkeys. Don't worry, this presentation will be a lot about donkeys and unicorns, but don't worry, you have not gone to the wrong webinar. We will also be talking about chatbots and messenger marketing. It's basically everything you ever needed to know, including how to do Facebook Messenger ads using the brand new integration for Facebook Messenger ads in AdEspresso. So very excited today. Before getting into all the details of all the hacks and Messenger tips and tricks, wanted to briefly introduce myself. My name is Larry Kim. I'm slightly obsessed with unicorns. I'm famous for starting this company, WordStream, out of a Panera Bread. It's like a bakery a decade ago. The company is about 300 people today and is a leader in search advertising software, managing approximately $1 billion of ad spend for tens of thousands of customers. Last year, they actually did around 55 million in revenues and 16 million in EBITDA. And I was able to sell the business in July of last year to Gannett for $150 million, which is kind of a relief because as someone who does a lot of blogging on how to grow your business and how to be successful in marketing, it would have been kind of embarrassing if that didn't have a successful outcome. About a year ago, I started a new chatbot marketing company called Mobile Monkey, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about the work I'm doing there. But enough about me. Let's talk about Facebook Messenger marketing and why should marketers and agencies care about Facebook Messenger marketing and chatbots in general. You obviously, if you're an AdEspresso customer, you're probably doing Facebook advertising, but there's this other channel, social messaging, like just messaging in general, which actually has more daily active users than social media networks, like the conventional newsfeed and stuff like this. So it's the same audience. It's just people tend to use messaging more than checking Facebook, if you can believe that. Yet less than 1% of, most businesses can engage with people on the news feed, but less than 1% of the businesses are doing anything with customers directly via messaging, which I think is a crazy opportunity. Um, there's over 1 billion daily active users on messaging, so that's pretty compelling. It's the same people you're targeting with your Facebook ads in general, and then the engagement rates for messaging, is through the roof. It's typically 80% open rates, 20% click-through rates, making one chat message sent worth approximately the equivalent of 100 emails, or 200 Facebook fans, because the engagement is so great. Um, you know, um, I know that a lot of AdEspresso users are agencies, uh, by offering a new chatbot marketing service to customers, it's a really great way to get new business for your agency, as well as to retain the customers that you have for a longer customer lifetime value, because it's just so valuable, so new. The customers will love you for it. So that's kind of the high level pitch. Let's kind of figure out how to actually do this, how our marketers and agencies supposed to take advantage of this chatbot stuff in their messenger campaigns. For a lot of people who've never seen this before, I think of messaging as sort of a combination of email marketing and also landing page stuff. Why is it like that? Well, it's a little bit like email marketing, that I can send out push notifications, like send out content to a list of people on Messenger and trigger their phones to ring. But it's also like a web page or a landing page, in that I can collect all the user information directly in messaging. So like if I want people to sign up for an event, or to buy something, or to book an appointment, or to fill out a survey, like I can have people kind of do those responses directly in the messaging session, as opposed to sending them to some clunky landing page that they have to click on. You see what I'm saying? So it's a kind of a combination of email and landing page technology, but integrated into this nice messaging experience. And you can definitely see how this is like a marketing technology, like this is top of funnel marketing stuff. And then if you ask me, like, this is so compelling, like an offering, that I think this is like one of the biggest growth marketing channels for the next 5 to 10 years, is messaging and chat marketing. um, in the past, how Facebook messaging used to work is that if someone were to click the send message button on your Facebook page, then that message from the user would be sent to your inbox, your page inbox, which was kind of this dumping ground of content that nobody ever checked. Your social media manager was supposed to go in there and clean out those inboxes, but they would kind of go stale. And remember those badges, Paul, where it would say like, business typically responds in 48 hours or 72 hours. Um, it was pretty bad. It was like one of the worst ways to connect with people, because nobody was monitoring the inbox, and basically, um, you could respond manually by typing messages, in the inbox, and that would trigger notifications in their messenger screen. So that's how it used to be done. Today, there's like uh, uh, an API for messaging. So there's no messaging tools in Business Manager. It's all through an API. But what this allows companies like MobileMonkey to do is create chatbot marketing tools, which MobileMonkey is one of the leading ones here, and you can kind of download your contacts and your inbox, your Facebook inbox of everyone who's ever messaged you before, and we can do things like do chat blasting to all of these subscribers, or run ads to all these people, etc. So I'll show you how that works in just a minute. But basically, my point is that using the API for Messenger, that enables companies like MobileMonkey to create these chatbot tools, which you can then use as a marketer to kind of bulk, like in a scalable way, engage with those customers or leads. And so typically one of the most common ways of doing this is to just create some content, like a newsletter or an announcement, and just chat blast that content to your messenger contact list. And so you can think of Mobile Monkey as kind of like a MailChimp, where you compose an email, or in our case, we're composing a chat dialogue, and you then kind of specify a list of people, a recipient list for this chat dialogue that you've created, and then you can schedule or blast the content, from Mobile Monkey to those subscribers. And it's similar to email marketing, except that it's way better than email marketing. These messages are distributed via Facebook Messenger using push notifications, and they're substantially more engaging than email, because, as I mentioned earlier, you can kind of take the registration and all this follow-up information directly in the chat session rather than pushing them to some website. One thing that I use chat blasting for is I do chat blasting of my newsletter, of my blog posts. Like, so whenever I produce a new blog post, we send it out through both email and chat. Neil Patel is actually on my chat list. I don't know why, but I do know that he reads my blog posts, because I can see his little avatar kind of advancing whenever I send him stuff. And I think that's just really interesting, because I don't think he reads my emails. And so, if this is new to you, you might be wondering, like, is this spam? Is this legitimate? I totally believe this is super valuable, because and not spammy at all, because when you look at the click-through rates and the open rates of email, like, so this is my campaign statistics of my email campaigns versus my messenger campaigns for the same blog content that I send out to both email and chat. And what you can see here is that the open rates for my email is like 20%, but for messaging it's like 60%. So 3 times higher read rates, but where it does really well is the click-through rates. So the click-through rates on my messaging, on my email messages, are like 1 or 2%, whereas the click-through rates, like the click rates for my messages, are 10 to 20%. So we're talking about sending this essentially the same content through these 2 different channels, yet I'm able to get 60 times more engagement through messaging. And I think that's really exciting, because, like, in ads and stuff like this, we're fighting for like 3% increases and stuff like this, and here this is like a 6,000% increase, like in engagement. So this is kind of interesting. It's better than email in that it can't be so easily abused. So you can't just go to ZoomInfo and buy a list of marketers or buy a list of CEOs and start messaging them. Okay, like, people have to subscribe to messages. It's kind of like how in the news feed people have to like your page in order to receive organic updates from the page, and if they unlike your page, then you can't show up on their on their newsfeed anymore. Same idea, if the users unsubscribe from your messages, they'll no longer be eligible to, you'll no longer be able to send them messages. So I actually think that this is sort of a pretty defensible, valuable channel, and wanted to talk a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of how to do this. Any questions so far, Paul, from you or any of the listeners today?
Yeah, Larry, we've got a couple come in there. I'm sure you'll cover some of them later on. But we've got a couple just about the audiences, like who you can send it to. Just about segmenting the audiences, whether you can segment between customers and leads, just whether you can use a standard Facebook custom audience. So that's the sort of theme I pick up. I don't know if you're covering that later, if you want to go into a
Yep.
bit more detail now.
Yeah, I'll show you how to create a custom audience, and how to segment users in the next two sections. But in a high level, it's kind of like email marketing. Like, if you've done any email marketing, you know that you can slice and dice your big list into many smaller lists, like like based on country or based on their their ad spend or whatever criteria that you have, you can segment on, and then you can upload that data as a custom audience as well. So I'll show you how to do that. So let's talk about the, like, making this a reality, how to actually create comprehensive chatbot marketing experiences. What are the building blocks and structure that you should be thinking of? This thing on the left, Paul, is it's a kind of a automated chat landing page, if that makes sense. It's sort of like a conversational equivalent of a landing page where it's asking the user, what's your email, what's your phone number. These are things that you would typically collect via a website form, which is why I like to call chat marketing sort of like a combination of an email marketing play plus a website marketing experience. And the question that people have is like, how the heck do you make this? And so using the Mobile Monkey chatbot builder, what people typically do is you just create the content by dragging and dropping these widgets. See how it's this like text, gallery, image, email, video, attributes, attachments. You just grab those attributes, or sorry, those widgets into a dialog, and then you send that dialog. So in terms of the different attributes that you can use in a dialog, there's static and dynamic content. Static content is stuff like text and images. So you just click on these buttons where it says image and text, and that'll insert like images and text that you can combine in any different combination to send to your subscribers. When you view that image and text in the chat browser, so like the messaging application, basically it gets rendered serially, so one on top of each other, but in Messenger. Okay, so the layout is pretty straightforward because everything just gets kind of clumped together as kind of a block of stuff. There's other static elements like video and attachments, like PDF attachments or short video clips that you want to send via Messenger. Go for it. You can just send users like clips and files directly, because if you have like an ebook or a gift card, you can send those as attachments. So the dynamic chat elements are for collecting registration data, like emails, or in this case for our webinar registration example, we're going to choose like what time do they want to show up. Like, is it the 9 a.m., 12 a.m., or 12 noon, or 3 p.m. showing? Asking them like, can I get your email address, and saving it to the variable email address. Okay, so what's going to happen is when you then send this dialog that contains these form or quick questions, then they get rendered as sort of these conversational interfaces where the user is sort of being asked questions, and then the bot saves the responses in the variables that you specified. It's kind of like HTML, how like when someone fills out a form, the WordPress then saves that information in an HTTP variable. Same idea. What's really powerful with chat marketing is segmentation. So every time you ask a user a question, you have the ability to personalize the chat experience. So for example, like, are you an agency or an in-house advertiser? Depending how users answer that question, you can send them down different dialogues. So there's an agency funnel or an in-house advertiser funnel that you could send them down, and you can create this content. And basically, like, if they say they're an agency, the follow-up question would be like, well, how many clients do you manage? 1 to 3 or 100. If they say that they're an in-house advertiser, well, then that question doesn't make sense to them. Like, how many clients do they have? Well, they're an in-house advertiser. So instead you could ask them like, what's your primary marketing objective? Is it lead gen, e-commerce, affiliate, etc. So I actually think this is more interesting than landing pages, because in landing pages, you're just sending them to a static experience where you're kind of pitching the same offer for everyone who visits that landing page. Like from a Facebook advertising perspective, if you're sending traffic to landing pages, those landing pages kind of appeal to the lowest common denominator, whereas in chat, we can really customize the experience. And then based on the attributes based on the answers that the user provides you. So it's like, if people say they're an agency, well, then we store that fact like we associate that attribute with that user. With that user's record, you can then create custom audiences based on that conversational criteria. For example, everyone who's self-declared as an agency, you can then collect all their names and information to create a custom audience. Okay, and with that custom audience, you can do a lot of different things, such as you could upload that to Facebook, or you could use that as a distribution list for a drip campaign or another chat blast campaign, where you're kind of sending a very specific piece of content to these agencies, marketers, and then this is an example of a campaign that actually had an 85% response rate, because we're not assuming, we're not sending it to the entire list and assuming that everyone's an agency. We asked people if they're an agency previously, and if they self-declared as an agency, we're now sending them this follow-up content with an offer that's specific to them. And so, and another great thing I love about messenger marketing is that, you reduce kind of the fake data. Like people will fill out a fake email address or a fake phone number, when which is frustrating because you may be paying like $5 or $10 a click for these clicks. With Facebook Messenger, you can pre-fill buttons like email, phone number, location, address, etc. You can pre-fill those with the official information that Facebook has on file, and when the user clicks on that information, that gets released to the advertiser. So like it just makes it more likely to get real information. In terms of how users navigate a chat experience, there's two different ways to go about it. One is very popular. It's the button-based navigation, and that's like 99% of chatbots. And the other way of doing it is natural language processing. I can explain both. The button-based navigation, chatbot navigation, it's kind of like a phone tree. Like when you call a restaurant, you could, it's sometimes an automated system picks up and says like, "Hi, for reservations, press 1. Cancellations, press 2. To speak with the manager, like press 3, etc., etc." So like that's a phone tree. You can do the conversational equivalent like in a chatbot, using buttons, and just describing, so what are the options. This is very easy to implement and gives the user a good idea of what the capabilities of your bot is. The other way of doing it is using natural language processing, and this is where you have open-ended questions like Siri does, or Alexa, where they just say, "How can we help you?" And there's no buttons. And if the user types something, you have to be able to kind of interpret that question and respond to it. So this is a little harder to do, but I can explain you how that works. Basically, what you do is, as you're creating the dialogues, the chat dialogues, like this webinar sign-up page that we've just created, you add keyword triggers for those various chat pages for those dialogues that you've created. So for our webinar sign-up page, the triggers or the keywords are register for webinar, or today's webinar, or webinar recording. So those are like triggers. What happens then is, if during the course of a chat session with your chatbot, if somebody types like a query like register for webinar, the chatbot's natural language processing, artificial intelligence algorithm that we've implemented will analyze the intent of what the user is asking. If it finds a match with the content that you have, it will then correctly serve the content that you've previously created. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little bit like in AdWords, how you have ads and keywords, and then Google's algorithm tries to match the keywords that you've selected, and the copy that you have written to the queries that users type into the search box. Same idea here, but on a kind of a more micro scale. And similar to how there's a search query report in AdWords that shows you what queries people have entered, you can get a list of all the unanswered questions that people asked your bot, and you can create content that responds to those questions, so that the next time you get questions like that, the answer will be automatically answered by the by the chatbot. This is known as training your bot. And of course, you can jump in at any time to take over a chatbot automated conversation by going back to the page inbox and just typing as you would normally. Like this is nothing new. Like you can always talk to people who messaged your page in the past by just messaging them back through the inbox, and you can also do that even if you use chatbots. So those are sort of the fundamentals we talked about. Navigation and dynamic and static content, hopefully that gives you a decent idea how to create these experiences. I wanted to give you a couple tips on chat blasting. Paul, any questions so far?
Hey Larry, yeah, we've got quite a few questions, so I'll just go through a couple so far. I've got, I think it's Stephanie just wants to clarify, what's the difference between a chat blast and a drip campaign?
Oh, they're similar. A chat blast is like an email blast that you send out. I want to send out this dialogue to this list. A drip campaign it's a little bit like remarketing. So like messaging remarketing. So like if somebody says they're an agency, you could create a custom audience for people who self-declared as agencies, and you could add them to a drip campaign where you say like, an hour later, send them an offer, that asks them to sign up for some agency offer. You see what I'm saying? So like a drip campaign is a message that's automatically sent based on a user's identity or activity. Like it's triggered by the user's behavior, as opposed to like they sign up for something and then you know how it is, Paul. Like when you sign up for like some offer, you get like 10 emails over the next month. Like it's the same idea through messaging. It's just we're sending messages. All right.
Awesome. I'll just go through one other message now. So let's see who's asking this one. Yeah, Carissa is asking whether you can integrate the chatbots with e-commerce websites.
Of course, yeah, it's a very common use case, and then it's our top. E-commerce is the top vertical for this stuff because the e-commerce companies are always on the cutting edge of marketing technology, and this is sort of the replacement for email. There's a lot of great use cases, like sending messages that contain like the abandoned cart products, or sending a message with an upsell after a successful purchase, or just generic news like new product announcements. It's a pretty common use case.
Awesome. Thank you. We've got loads more questions, but we'll get to some more later.
Okay, I wanted to give you a couple tips on how to chat blast, because it is a new medium. The worst thing you do is just copy and paste kind of your emails into the messages and then hit send, because that's not really taking advantage of the advantages of this new communication channel. And so the first idea that I have for you is just to employ this principle of psychological consistency. And this is a kind of a conversational tactic that's employed by, I don't know, therapists and psychiatrists, where they ask you a bunch of questions, and it makes you really feel good, because people like to talk about themselves, and so maybe they ask you like, how are you today? And then you say, oh, I'm doing terrible. Why are you feeling terrible? It's because my kids are driving me crazy. And so you kind of ask these open-ended questions and then try to get to the root of their reason for being here today. And you can employ that using chatbots in a way that you cannot do in email or landing pages. And I just wanted to give you a simple example of this. It's like, how would you describe yourself as it pertains to chatbot marketing? I'm a novice, I'm a fan, or an expert. So my intent here is just to sell a chatbot video training course. But what I can do is I can ask the user about their identity, like, am I a novice, fan, or an expert? And then depending on how they answer those questions, I can reflect that bit of knowledge right back to them. And people, it's known that people love to engage, if the the people are listening, like this is active listening basically. So this is a kind of a conversion tactic. You see how we're breaking up the conversation into a bunch of little questions and then reflecting back what we're learning here. So just one crazy idea. Another crazy idea has to do with this notion of reciprocal concessions. This is employed by car salesmen worldwide. This is where if the salesman is perceived as being reasonable, you're more likely to want to reciprocate and do that salesperson a solid and buy the product. And so here the chatbot is actually asking them, like, that chatbot video training course for $199, what do you think? Is it too expensive or great? I'm in. 99.9% of people say that's too expensive, and that's fine. That's by design. What this is designed to do is trying to make the user feel like the bot is being more reasonable. It says, yeah, I agree, Larry, $200 is a lot of money, but I have a 94% discount code. Would you be interested in that? And then believe it or not, this actually increases conversions by double digits, because of these psychological principles that we can apply in chatbot marketing that you can't in email or landing pages. So I think this is these are just two examples, but as you can hopefully see, this is a totally new frontier, allowing marketers to employ sort of conventional sales tactics, in-person sales tactics in an automated, scalable way, using chat. Wanted to give you a couple of tips on how to grow your contact list, because messaging, it's kind of like email in that if you only have one email on your email list, it's not going to be that interesting. You want to have a big list. So in the olden days of marketing, the idea was to get people to sign up for these offers, so we could capture their email addresses so that we could send them weekly emails. Today email is dead, and we need to move to messaging, so that we can get people to message our page so we can send them chat blasts. And the idea is not just to wait for people to message your page, because that will take forever. Instead, we should be a little more proactive. I can give you a couple of organic and paid examples of how to generate contacts. So one of them is to use something called a Facebook comment guard. That's a Facebook autoresponder via Messenger to people who comment on the page posts or ads that you publish. Okay, so there's an example of this bit.ly/FB postcard, and you can try commenting on that post, and you'll actually get a private response from my bot. So the strategy here is to convert people who comment on your page into subscribers by sending them a message through messaging, and if they respond to your response, then they become a subscriber. And so what I like to do is I like to attach these comment guards to what I call comment bait. Comment bait is like content that solicits a lot of comments. So this one was about, like, RIP Facebook newsfeed. Boy, were people ever mad, and 714 people commented on it. So that's a lot of subscribers. Another thing you can do is like contests or quizzes, or ask questions, or riddles. Like, just ask people a question so that they'll want to answer it. Like, especially ask people questions about themselves. Like if you're a realtor, you could say, like, hey, this house was listed at $1 million. Guess how much it actually sold for? Like, you ask questions, and then say, like, if you type in your guess, I will send you privately through Messenger the answer, as well as sort of a home buying guide for the neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can integrate these responses as a way to get more engagement out of your page. Setting up these comment guards is pretty simple. You just choose the dialogue to send the users who comment. You set a frequency cap. Obviously, you wouldn't want to keep sending them the same offer over and over if they just commented twice on the same post. And then you specify which post to apply the response to, or you can apply it as a catch-all, which will kind of auto respond to everything. Another one is landing pages. So this is like the old way of doing landing pages on the left, where you have a lot of form fields. The new way of doing it is just insert a send a messenger button. So if they click on that button, you will receive all their contact information as well as messaging information. Messaging permissions, so they'll become a contact in MobileMonkey, so we can, we can converse with them through chat. I think this is a much nicer layout than some of those clunky old landing pages that require people to type a lot of information, because just clicking one button gets all the information sent through Messenger to MobileMonkey. Another cool widget that you can install is the Facebook Messenger chat widget. That's kind of a live chat for your website. We've got integration with WordPress. It's called WP Chatbot, that you can integrate this live chat thing to your website, and anyone who messages your business through this live chat will actually become a contact that you can send messages to. Of course, there's these checkbox plugins where if you are collecting emails, why wouldn't you also collect messaging permissions? But kind of the main way that you do this messenger content generation is using Facebook Messenger ads. And so this is sort of the most important part here, because you guys are all Facebook advertisers, and AdEspresso has just released some new integration with Facebook Messenger ads. So personally, I actually use Facebook Messenger ads exclusively. Facebook ads, they've gotten a lot more expensive. It's typically $100 CPMs, and it's hard to be converting that traffic with 2 or 3% conversion rates. Well, it's harder than it was 5 years ago. And so I've changed how I do Facebook ads. I use a lot less click campaigns, and I tend to use this one called send to messenger ad campaign format. Okay, so what happens is when someone clicks on this button, instead of sending people to a landing page, you're sending them directly into a chat dialogue, like one of those chat experiences where you can ask questions and they can respond to that. And I think this is really interesting because it has a 100% conversion rate, basically. So anyone who clicks on this button, it's kind of like the lead ads, where anyone who clicks, you get their contact information, but it's better than lead ads in that lead ads, it just kind of dumps their contact information into a file, where a chatbot it can in real time engage that user and qualify and sell your products and services like in a more interactive way. So if you compare messaging ads to just regular click campaigns, there's a pretty clear benefit is that you get everyone's contact information of everyone who clicks, as opposed to sending people to your website and maybe converting 2 or 3% of them. This new approach to advertising is very exciting to me, because you can reduce assumptions, as I mentioned before, by asking the users questions about their interests or needs or identity. You can present them with kind of more relevant information, as opposed to just a generic landing page. The user also feels more in control, because they can kind of design their own funnel, like they can follow their own path, and really get the information that they're looking for in a conversational way that's scalable. And I wanted to give you an example of how to set up one of these messenger ad experiences in AdEspresso using the new messenger ads integration. And so basically, it starts in AdEspresso. Just choose the Facebook Messenger campaign type, and then click next, and then you then need to create the ad experience. So a lot of this is similar to click campaigns, where you insert a linked, an ad text, image, headline, and description. Okay, the main difference between a click campaign versus a chat campaign is the destination page, or the landing page. Remember, we're sending people into a chat funnel as opposed to a website URL. Okay, and so when people click on that ad, they become a contact in MobileMonkey, and you can, segment the audience based on what they say, and you can send them down different messenger funnels and all this stuff using the dialogue creation tools that we've been discussing. And basically, you can just, create very customized, you know, chat landing pages using all the technologies that we've been talking about. But then when you're done creating those chat landing pages, you need to connect those dialogues with the Facebook ad that you started creating in AdEspresso. And the way that you do this is in MobileMonkey, you go to the Messenger Ads section, and then connect you select the dialogue that you want to send users to. So just, I want to send it to the webinar registration page that we created, okay? And then you take these two data things, like the URL parameter and the messenger JSON setup. You take these two pieces of code and you insert that into AdEspresso, where it says, messenger setup, upload your JSON file. That's this code here on the right. And then where it says, add extra options to your URL in AdEspresso, where it says URL parameters, paste the ref code that was provided in MobileMonkey here, where it says number 1, okay? So you just take that information, insert it into AdEspresso, and then Facebook will know to send users into that messaging funnel when the ad is pressed, okay? And then you're all set. I wanted to just show you how amazing this ad experience is. You can see what the ad looks like on the left-hand side, but when someone clicks on send message, the ad experience then loads in Messenger rather than going to a browser. And I can just play this experience here. So it says, "Hey there, are you running Facebook ads?" So let's just watch this. Yes, I am. Excellent, Virginia. We have this thing, are you an agency or a marketer? I'm an agency. It's like, well, as an agency advertiser, so I'm leveraging all the tactics of, like, segmenting and kind of reflecting back the user's identity. And then finally, after some back and forth, we then tell them to sign up for the event. Now, we're still actually sending them to a landing page, but because we had a little bit of back and forth dialogue, they're actually more likely to convert because they're kind of more familiar with us, and then we've built some rapport here. But even if they don't fill out this form, I have all their contact information anyways, and messaging permissions, because they came via the send message campaign. So I think that's really valuable. Once people become once they click on your Facebook Messenger campaign, you can set up drip campaigns in MobileMonkey. So this is like, 10 minutes later, you can send out follow up tip number 1, and an hour later you can send tip number 2, and then just send them 3, 4, 5 messages over the next day or so. That sounds reasonable to me. They can unsubscribe if they wish, but no, greasy, squeaky wheel gets to grease kind of thing. We can take the data that we collect from these ads and integrate them directly into Salesforce using these connection widgets in the bot builder, where we send data to HubSpot or Salesforce. You can create custom audiences and sync them with Facebook ads, so exporting them and sending them back to Facebook for traditional retargeting, and you could do subsequent follow-up chat blasts to different people depending on what they said, and like the different kind of the self-declared information by the users. And the bottom line is, these are really valuable because you can drive and convert contacts at $3, $4, $5 per contact. And when I try to do webinar registrations using click campaigns, it's more like $300, $400, $500 because of the 2 or 3% conversion rate, which is typical for web page landing pages. So I think that's really interesting, because this is going to be more qualified because we have more correct data, because we're going to pre-fill all this data, and a lot of it is just sent directly from Facebook. it's going to be, it's going to convert better because we know that people are more likely to convert as you build up familiarity with the brand, and all this like algorithmic back and forth what it's doing, provided that you do it in a friendly and funny way. It's actually building brand affinity with those customers, and your brand, which tends to increase the likelihood of subsequent purchases or signups in the future. So guys, those are my top 5 messenger and chatbot marketing hacks, that we described today, like Facebook ads and how to grow your contact lists and how to create these interactive bot experiences and how to do chat blasting and how to get more contacts. I really view, by the way, you can you can get these slides via chat, like if you go to http://bit.ly/adespresso-chatbot, it'll actually redirect to Messenger, and, and Messenger will ask you a couple of questions. But you can try that out. It'll also send you the slides. But taking a step back, so what are we talking about today, and what does it mean for AdEspresso users, and Facebook marketers in general? I think that chatbots and messaging, to me, it seems like a really powerful mobile-friendly, top of the funnel marketing channel for lead generation. So like, as you could see, the technology is like push notifications and stuff like this. This really feels like email marketing, like marketing automation, lead qualification, and of course online advertising. So sending users into messaging experiences rather than conventional landing pages. I think for all the reasons that I described today, it's a very compelling way to engage and understand and sell to users that's just not possible with just email marketing or conventional landing pages alone. And the reality is that your customers already overwhelmingly prefer messaging over email marketing, yet you're probably doing, 99% of you are doing email marketing, exclusively. And so the idea is just, it's similar to like, why are we doing Facebook advertising in the first place? Well, it's because that's where people hang out all the time. You know what I mean? So like, by that same reasoning, like we should also be interested in being present in messaging, because people spend even more time in messaging, or sorry, they have more daily active users. They spend less time, but it's higher likelihood to be in messaging at least once per day. The same users that you're targeting through the news feed and your Facebook ads are in these messaging platforms, and that's how how they prefer to communicate. And of course, earlier this year, it was leaked by the New York Times that Facebook is actually integrating WhatsApp and Instagram and Messenger. I call this InstaWhat. You heard it from here first. But basically, I think that's so that these chatbots will not just be able to reach Messenger subscribers, but also Instagram and WhatsApp subscribers. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious, actually. And so this seems to be like a pretty interesting technology to be jumping on, as it kind of is core to the future direction of Facebook. So guys, you can get the slides as well as a special offer for Mobile Monkey. It's specifically for AdEspresso users. If you go to bit.ly /adespresso-chatbot, Paul, really want to thank you for having me on today. It's quite an honor. I'm actually an AdEspresso customer for a few years. Like so it's great product, fantastic user community. So it's great honor to finally do something with you guys. Would love to take any questions that you or our audience has today.
Thank you, Larry. That's a great presentation there and so much information. I really urge everybody, if they're doing traditional email marketing, to have a look at Messenger, because I think you're just getting left behind if you're not using Messenger marketing. And also just subscribe to Mobile Monkey's chatbot if you want to see from the masters how it's done. Then your chatbot is really good, Larry. That's I love all the monkey animations in there.
I can't take credit for that. One of our marketers named Virginia Nizzi does that. But yeah, basically, she sends out these hilarious chat blasts once or twice a week. And if you message, if you click on that link, you'll actually be subscribed. So you can see how that's done and learn from the master or from Virginia, basically.
Cool. So we've got quite a lot of questions coming in. I know we've only got 10 minutes left, so we'll try and go through as many as possible there. First of all, just like about the integrations that you touched on there. Gary's asking, does it integrate with Infusionsoft or does it integrate with Zapier? So I know that's brand new and we were testing it. So can you just maybe talk about how you can get that data out of Mobile Monkey?
Yeah, it's right here. So in Mobile Monkey, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just you just go to Zapier and you just type in your API key and you can push the data, in and out of Mobile Monkey like to Salesforce, and you can even send responses. So like if you were to look up like I don't know, a customer ID, you could send them like their reset password or something. Like you can use the responses and insert those into messages that you send back to the users. So as this is like a Zapier connection or Zapier connection, um, this implies you can integrate with like thousands of different marketing and business applications. We also support webhooks, which is kind of a more manual way of doing it prior to Zapier. Like it's where you post data to a URL and process the responses. So yeah, like people are using this to add like kind of more interactive functionality, like what's the weather in Boston right now, and it'll send the city, to the webhook or to the Zapier to look up some information and send that right back to the user, etc. Okay.
Great. So we got quite a few questions, but I'll try and get through a few. Got another one here from Gary asking about appointment scheduling. Like, can you do that within Mobile Monkey, and can you integrate it with Google Calendar?
Yeah, there's a template here. So go to the template library, and pretty sure one of them was just try like the real estate one here. Like I know that it has an example of like setting an appointment to view to view a listing, and you can just copy those dialogues and use that as an example. So just load this template. Okay.
Excellent. Some people are asking that there's a lot of information to take in there. So just let you know, all know that you will get sent a recording automatically about an hour after this session finishes. So go to webinar, just look out for that email. Occasionally it goes into spam boxes, so check it there. I've got a question here from, I think it's from Jay, asking what kind of businesses work best for chatbots?
Um, it's I have a list of companies who use Mobile Monkey, and it's about 400 different business categories. So it's pretty orthogonal. It's just a communication channel, like email. So if people are doing Facebook ads or are doing email marketing, well, this is sort of a similar concept, but sort of like a 2019 version, uh, of doing that. But other than that, it's people who do Facebook advertising is definitely a kind of a what would you call it? A smoking gun. Agency marketers definitely for new client acquisition and trying out new ways to find clients. Product and services companies like e-commerce companies, as well as certain verticals like real estate are among the top five uh, users here. Okay.
Great. And I've got a question here from Vanessa. Vanessa's one of our AdEspresso super fans. She's asking about the templates, which I think you showed briefly. Maybe if you could just go back to that, because I think she's concerned about starting from scratch. That's quite a big jump. So maybe if you could just explain a little bit about what the templates do there.
Yeah, so this is a relatively new feature. We just released it this year. Instead of creating those dialogues from scratch, you could kind of view it as like creating kind of a mini chat website. You know what I mean? Like what we found was that they're kind of similar experiences for different categories. Like if you're a coffee shop or a mortgage broker or a dentist, it's always like certain calls to action and certain content. So all you need to do is in the setup, like when you're starting up the product, it'll ask you to, do you want to start from scratch or do you want to use a pre-existing template? It's kind of like how in WordPress you can start from scratch or you can choose a WordPress template. And if you choose one of the templates, well then it'll load all the information and then content and stuff so you can try it out and just make tweaks and customize the experience to your business, as opposed to having to create everything from scratch. All right.
That's nice because I know there is quite a learning curve to creating bots from scratch there. Got a question here from Diane about asking what's the difference between Mobile Monkey and other chatbots. Now, I won't name any names, but I know there's some competitors out there. So if you could just like maybe just run through some key features of Mobile Monkey.
Sure, we're the fastest growing chatbot company in the world. And the reason why is because it's super easy to use. It's way more stable and less buggy than anything else out there. So like most of the customers, they stop using some other platform because it's just they're so buggy. Uh, we have a lot more features than some of these things. Some of the key features that I would highlight are like in the bot builder. Remember how I was saying like there was this whole Q&A where you can have like questions and answers. Like we implement a natural language processing that actually like analyzes the intent of users and tries to match the answers with the key phrases. Okay, like it's kind of like broad match for Google AdWords. So that's something that the competition doesn't do. We have really sophisticated support for Facebook ads, so like the messenger ads, as well as something else we didn't talk about, which is sponsored messaging. That's where you do promo blasting. There's we have something called WP Chatbot, WP Chat, this thing here, which is a native integration of our chat widget with WordPress, which has literally hundreds of thousands of users. Like if you go here, it shows like 147,000 installs. So like it's just it's also cheaper. Like if you go to our pricing page, you can see that pretty much everything is included in the free plan. But the pro plan is just $19 a month starting there. So value, ease of use, features, stability. That's why we're the fastest growing messenger provider in the entire messenger ecosystem. We'd love to work with you. All right?
Great. And just a little anecdote. I used to be in a Facebook group for another chatbot, and I had to unsubscribe and leave because it was just people reporting bug after bug after bug. There wasn't anything on strategy there. So I think we've got time for just a couple more questions. And one thing where you're on that page there is really good. I'd like to urge everybody that the free plan, as Larry says, does cover a lot. So if you're not sure about it and you're on the fence, just jump in there and give it a go. There's absolutely no cost when you're setting these up. So you can see whether it's right for you. It's not like some, email plans where you've got to spend out quite a lot of money in advance there. Just give it a go and see whether it works for you. So last couple of questions. One is about handling multiple languages. Several people have mentioned this, especially in Europe here, we might be dealing with like French, German, and English at once. So how does Mobile Monkey cope with that?
So what you would do, guys, is in the bot builder. Okay, you would first of all you would in the audiences here, you would create two audiences. So like one audience would be like English, like we could call it like English speakers, and you would create a filter where the language, you see what I'm saying, it's the locale, okay, is equal to en, which is the the thing for English. It's a little slow here because it's processing all the different possible combinations of locales. But you see how it's like, you know, uh, Spain, Spanish, Japan, Japanese. So you would choose the different country and language combinations, and you would create different audiences based on like the different languages you want to support. But then in the bot builder, in the dialogues, when you create a new dialogue, like you say, test 1, 2, 3, okay. Um, in this dialogue, you would create something called a navigation widget, okay? And the navigation thing would say like, if you're an English speaker, then navigate to the English dialogue. If you're a Spanish speaker, like part of that Spanish audience, will then navigate to the Spanish welcome message. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of auto detecting the language and allowing you to create different audiences and then using that audience information to redirect to the correct welcome page or wherever you wish. So it's kind of like a go-to if that makes sense,
Great. So that's something been asked a lot today. And kind of final question is about the how Mobile Monkey handles different Facebook pages there. So maybe just explain the structure, because a lot of AdEspresso customers, either agencies or if they're doing e-commerce, they might have several different brands there. So maybe
Yeah,
just touch on how that kind of works.
yeah, absolutely. So you just like at Espresso, I believe you can add multiple pages. So these are companies, but I have like all these kooky pages like Unicorn Realty and like all these different connected pages, and you can just connect as many as you wish. Okay. Now in terms of pricing, so you can use the free plan on as many pages as you wish. You can use the pro plan on as many pages as you wish, but it's $19, starting at $19 per page. And if you have 100 or 1,000 of them, that might be a little expensive. And so what you would do is you would use the agency pricing. So if you go to prices and agencies, what you'll see is that for $89 a month, you can connect unlimited number of pages to your Mobile Monkey account. And this is another area where we're substantially cheaper than like by 50 times cheaper than the other companies, because they don't offer like an unlimited page connections. So if you if you're an agency with 1,000 customers, you can connect all 1,000 pages, for $89 a month, and I'm sure that you'll find value there. Okay.
That's brilliant. So we didn't get around to all the questions because saying we've got a record level of attendance here. But what's the best way for people to contact with you, Larry, if they got more questions? And maybe if you want to just show the Facebook group or just mention your Facebook groups, I know that's a good way of interacting.
Yeah. So the it's Facebook. This thing here, mobile monkey. It's called Mobile Monkey Island. So it's /group/Mobile Monkey. This is our kind of our 20,000 members group of people building chatbots, and it's kind of like the AdEspresso group, except we're building bots instead of Facebook ads, unless they're messenger ads. And if you post a question here, I check this every day, so that's an easy way to get in touch with me. All right.
Excellent. Thanks, Larry. That's been a really good presentation. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'm sorry we couldn't get through to quite all the questions, but I was saying there's plenty of ways to get in touch, and definitely subscribe to the Mobile Monkey Messenger bot for some inspiration, and try the free plan as well there. So thanks, Larry, for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Paul. I just want to reiterate, been a fan of you guys for a very long time in terms of like their advanced Facebook, ad creation capabilities, and I think you've got a great product and a great community. And I want to just thank you for letting me be a part of this today.
I really appreciate that, Larry. Thanks for joining us today. Take care, everybody.
And bye, guys.